just to catch everyone up, we've been talking about why we meditate, the liberation we're seeing, duality for duality, and transcending that into the absolute. So liberation for ourselves and for all sentient beings. And this expansion is limitless. So we're engaged in a process in which we're always letting go rather than settling or being attached to an experience in meditation. And we're sort of in the talks, I'm going from the sublime to the practical, and this week it's the practical. So I'm going to talk a little bit about posture today. And this is really quite a wonderful topic, and it's emphasized, but it's not presented in a way that is harsh, like your mother always saying, stand up straight, is presented from the perspective of there are layers of settling the mind before we engage in meditation. And we are embodied. So part of settling the mind is also relating to our body-mind as we're meditating. So many teachers emphasize just when you first sit down to go through the settling process by just acknowledging that we are supported by the earth, that we're grounded in a very direct way, and then by noticing how our body feels to us. Just checking in with its tenseness, stress, aches and pains, all of those things. Not going into stories about them, but just noticing how your experience of your body is today. And then similarly, working with what is your experience of your mind today. Venerable Pema poses, very succinct questions. Are there emotions present? It might have been a very difficult week for you, and when you sit down, you feel the presence of frustration or stress. Or it may be a very soft week for you, and one of those weeks where there isn't a stressor in your family. And so there's a sense of the absence of this kind of stress or fear or anxiety, and you notice the absence. So there's a general check-in, not about the stories, not a narrative, but what is the state of my sense of feeling, and then what is the state of the sense of my thoughts? Are the thoughts like a misty spring morning, or are they like a shower, or are they like driving rain? Again, not a narrative, but just checking in. Okay, this is my embodied mind-body situation this morning as I begin. So just absolutely taking note. So establishing that, then we work with the inner energies of our body through our posture. So I was really happy to see everyone who has the time to come to Carol's class, working with the Tai Chi and Qigong, because that brings the mind, body, and energies into an inseparable, calm and stable state. And the Tibetan system works with the posture in the same way. So from our perspective, there is an central channel, an inner channel, and then many thousands of channels that branch out. But we're just going to talk about the central channel today. And there is our relationship to our breath, our very coarse breathing, but also there are inner winds. And there are inner winds that are in motion in our body, particularly related to the elements. So each aspect of the posture is related to settling those winds and an element that is assisting with the stabilization. But there's a sense that the elements, of course, make up our body, and the thoughts in our mind are working with or following the movement of the winds. So when we put those together, the winds and the element, we're coming closer to understanding the subtlety of the union of the body and mind. So there are two traditions. There's the general tradition that you've probably heard of, the 7-point posture of Vairocana, and then there's Lord Jigten Sumgön's posture, and His Holiness emphasizes Lord Jigten Sumgön's posture because we trust in the realization of Lord Jigten Sumgön as the, after a while you see him as this beloved ancestor who we still trust. So when we talk about the 7 points of Vairocana, the word Vairocana means what makes clear. So these 7 points clarify all the inner energetic systems. So first, there's straightening your spine, and that relates to the life force or the prana that is flowing within the central channel, and it relates to the earth element. And then our hands are either in the meditation posture, down on your lap, or palms down on your thighs, and that's the Lord Jigten Sumgön instruction. But there's a sense of the equality of the hands being exactly the same, with the same mudra, either on your thighs or in the meditation posture, and your elbows are just a little out so that there's air in your torso. And this is related to the water wind, all the moisture in our body, and it enables the water winds to go into the central channel. Then we straighten the neck, and fire naturally flows upwards, so the fire winds are able to flow smoothly. And then the element of air is related to the eyes and the mouth. So this is where we can see very easily if your eyes are relaxed and you're starting out looking at a few finger widths away from your nose and not focusing your eyes, but not moving your eyes around, just allowing them to relax. That helps keep your mind from moving, and we can easily experience that. If our eyes are moving around the room, I'm seeing a little tanka, I'm seeing a Christmas wreath, I'm seeing my watch. My mind is moving, naming, looking at the colors, seeing all those differences. And so, for instance, when I was talking last week to Michelle about relaxing the senses, this is a good example. If you relax the focus of your eyes, they're open, they're not blocked, but they're not focused on any object, then your mind isn't moving towards that object. And many people are very sensitive to their bodies and have a body-mind experience already of the inner energies. And I think this is something I was slow to learn. It's something I've just been exploring and being able to sense for me in the last 10 years, let's say. So I studied with a really extraordinary Tai Chi teacher recently, and I'd like to take you through some of the exercises he has for sitting, because it brings those inner energies into an unblocked situation and allows you to feel them in your seated posture. And the key to this is actually going really, really slowly. I forgot to... the key to this is going very slowly and very carefully. Today I'm in a chair, and some of you may be in chairs and some of you may be seated. I'm moving to the edge of the chair. So if you're in a chair, just stretch out your right leg resting on the heel. And you can also do that if you're sitting on a cushion. And just let your leg balance until any tension of the muscles holding it into a position relax. You have to be very patient to do this. At a certain point, because there's a balance, because the muscles actually have nothing to do, they don't have to hold the leg in any particular way. You'll find that your leg just releases, the muscles release. You can point your toe, you can rotate your foot, but essentially just wait until the quality of effort releases. And you might be able to feel a flow of energy in your leg. You may not, but what you might experience is the freedom of balance when your leg relaxes. You know, all the muscles softening. And then moving your leg with your ankle under your knee, find the place where, again, your leg and all the muscles understand that it doesn't need to do anything to hold you up or to keep in balance, that there is a relaxed quality of just the leg being in balance. And you can move your foot, little micro movements, to just see, oh, if I move it 2 inches to the right, then all of a sudden my muscles start acting. But I move it back 2 inches, there's a balance there. So if we had an hour, we could go through the left leg as well. But I want to go up the spine. So just notice your pelvis now and rock your pelvis a little bit so you feel your lower back straighten. And as your lower back straightens, just notice if there is a natural release for you. Where are your muscles strained and where are they in balance and relaxed? And is there a sensation when your lower back straightens? All right, then allow your arms to just flop at your sides. Your shoulders are relaxing. You can shake your arms. So your arms and your shoulders actually are not working at all right now. They don't have to do anything at all to support your body. You're letting your spine be straight and be stacked up like coins, but your shoulders can totally relax. Just keep. And to see how relaxed that can be, just flop your arms. Just see if I can get here. Flop your arms onto your thighs, not pick them up and move them, but just sort of swing them up with no effort. So you have a sense of what it's like to have your forearms, your elbows, and your shoulders all relaxed. Then moving up, you can just press, your skull back, 1/8 of an inch, and it straightens your neck. You might want to put your chin down a little bit or feel a cord pulling up the tiniest bit, but also is helpful just to give a very gentle little push. So those of you who are doing the 3 palms, this might put you right back into that relaxed flowing state where you're feeling all of the energies in your body calming down, settling in the same way your mind is calming down and settling. So just take a minute to sit with this and play with little micro movements, like tense your shoulders and then let them go to see the difference. Move your neck forward, back. You can feel the weight of your skull and then the difference when it's perfectly in balance. And I've found that the more I do the different exercises, the more sensitive I become to the inner energies of my body calming down and settling, and how that contributes to my thoughts settling. In the simplest way, we can think of this as an intense mindfulness of body. So in the Tibetan tradition and in the Sharvasti curriculum, as you advance in meditation, you're introduced to lots of different yogas that unite your mind and body and clear your channels so that all of these winds are flowing in a natural way and settled and supporting your meditation. And one of the methods in Thrangu Rinpoche's book, you can see in Shamatha that he introduces the 9-round breathing, as we call it, as preparation for Shamatha practice. So 9-round breathing is a way of expelling the dead air. So we can think of the dead air as the air from the night before, or as you're moving around this morning, not breathing consciously or mindfully, and they would just call that negative air. So we're going to expel all of this dead air in preparation for then starting shamatha. We have our check-in, and then posture, and then expelling the air. I'm going to do this in a simple way. There are elaborate sort of mudras that we use in the Sharvasti curriculum that are related to advanced meditation, but we can also do it simply. So we make the Vajra fist. So what that was on my screen, but here you go. Your thumb is at your ring finger, and your little finger is curled or relaxed, and your index finger is alert, not stiff, not tense, but let's say alert, just like our mind. There is some wild rainbow. I don't know what that is, but don't worry about it. I have no idea how that started and how to fix it. At any rate, just ignore it. So let's just, with our right hand, block our left nostril. Inhale deeply, then block the right nostril, and exhale long and strong. Then inhale deeply, then exhale short and strong. And use your abdomen to really push all the old air out. Inhale deeply and exhale gently. Then switch. My left finger is blocking my right nostril. Inhaling. Exhaling long and strong. Inhaling deeply, exhaling short and strong. Inhaling deeply, exhaling gently. Then with your hands back on your knees or your thighs, still with the Vajra fist, inhaling through both nostrils with the same sequence, inhaling deeply, exhaling long and strong, inhaling deeply, exhaling short and strong, inhaling deeply, and exhaling gently. So just check in with your body again. Check in with your posture. Notice how relaxed your mind is. Notice the quality of calmness going from the top of your head to your toes. These exercises may have a felt experience and they may not. It's perfectly okay. People have different sensitivities, but as someone who did not have this sensitivity, I can say that with commitment to these exercises, it does open up. Again, check your pelvis and little micro movements, your shoulders, your neck. If you've had any cranial sacral work, you can relate it to that feeling with the flowing or aliveness and cellular support of all of your inner energies, supporting the clarity of your mind and your capacity to both calm your mind and discriminate the difference between confusion and calmness. So let's enter into shamatha meditation here. As we were working with breath this morning, let's just Count the breaths from 1 to 10, and every time there is a distracted thought, notice distraction as distraction, not identifying it or following it, and starting to count again. And for those of you who are advanced meditators, this begins to illuminate very subtle distractions, like the flicker of a movement in your mind. And just notice before you move, has your posture shifted a little bit? So, for instance, at a certain point, I could see I just leaned back a tad. And that was when there was a little subtle distraction. So your body moving may tell you about a distraction before you even notice that a distraction has arisen. And the other thing that I find tremendously helpful is as we learn how to relax our body, we're actually learning how to relax our minds, because we're learning what relaxed state feels like. Our muscles, it's sort of even new to think of my leg with my foot right under my knee, that there can be a point where I'm sitting where my leg is totally relaxed instead of a subtle tension holding my leg in place. So that teaches me about what does this subtle stage of relaxed, how can I apply that to my experience of my mind? It's curious, because I think in many ways we don't know what a relaxed, open state feels like. So there's a sense of, with all of these attentions, priming ourselves for success. So we've looked at the weather and let our mind settle, in terms of the quality of our mind, the quality of our body's experience at this moment, adjusted our posture so everything is flowing, all the energies are supporting clarity, then expelled all the stale air, and then started to clarify focus so we can identify, here is an emotion arising, here is a narrative arising, and even below that, here is a pull to identify, let's say, a cup or a tanka, just a pull from inward towards outward. So with our minds becoming clearer and more still, we can see those pulls as they arise. It's not just the coarse level of thoughts, it's the little pull towards something of all of our senses. So today we're back to the practical. And the more clarity we have in observing how our sixth consciousness, or our mind in relation to our senses and relation to our thoughts, how that operates, we can then begin to see, all right, that's a whole area, but there is something beyond that. What is the experiencer of all of these thoughts and senses? And that leads us into much more depth of questioning and examining the natures of our mind. But it can only be done with the support of this steady clarity. So we have some time for questions and discussion this morning, so I'm going to do a brief dedication and then stop the live portion. Bodhicitta, excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. Okay, so thoughts, questions, reflections. And it's easiest for me if you raise your hand, because then I can see who has a question. So does it make a difference when you settle your mind, relax your body, and expel your air? Was there a difference in being ready then to observe your mind.
It looks like Barbara, Massachusetts, has a question.
Okay, Barbara.
Well, I kind of have a question, but not. What I experienced today was, I was really starting to relax. I was like checking my posture, and then I forgot to shut off my phone, so it started dinging. And I got aggravated, like, ugh. And I looked, I couldn't find it, and then I came back and just tried to regroup. And what I realized is I was aggravated. I started thinking about aggravating things that make no difference. You know what I mean? It's like because of that emotion. So how do you bring yourself back when you're aggravated? Because that's one of my main things.
I'm sure many people share that, but I love the way you express it. Noticing the feeling arising, noticing the desire to go into the narrative about the different things that are aggravating, let's say naming them, and noticing the pull to name them, and then just coming back to your body and noticing the felt sense of the aggravation before you even name. And so you're relaxing all of that and allowing that energy in your body to just settle. Coming back to your breath is an easy way to do it, but you may have to do it in steps and stages, saying, oh, it's the phone, or, oh, it's this aggravation that I know really well. Oh, gee, there's an energy that precedes my aggravation. And does it have a location? Does it have a felt sense? Can I relax with that in the same way I'm relaxing my shoulders or relaxing my neck?
Yeah, thank you.
Kathy Breen.
Yeah, Khenmo, I just wanted to ask, do you want people to raise their hands physically, or do you want them to raise with the reaction button?
Oh, sorry, the reaction button, because again, they've changed. I don't see the view of everybody, but if you raise the reaction, then it goes right over. So other questions? If you use the reaction button,
yes, I use the reaction button. Is it okay?
Yes, please.
To answer your question, for me, it is indispensable. It is absolutely necessary to go into my body to access to a certain relaxation of the mind, or else my mind just spins around. And so, and I laughed when you said, I smiled when you said maybe 10 years now that you have been in your body. It's the same situation for me. And so I really appreciate the way you gave steps. It clarifies a lot. It's very, very good. And also I wanted to know, what is the Vajra fist?
Oh, the Vajra fist is you put your thumb on your ring fingers, right at the base there. And in the Tibetan tradition, there's a sense of this prevents obstacles. And then your middle fingers come down. And look at that, it's starting again.
It's the winds of light.
So, and it's such a teaching because it's just like your mind. So your little finger is relaxed and curled a little bit. So that's like the relaxed aspect. And your index finger is not stiff and tense, but it's straight.
Okay.
Like your mind is alert. So it's a mudra, but it's relaxed and alert reminder.
Thank you.
Are there other questions this morning or
It's very noisy here. We have leaf blowers and things like that, and birds. What I noticed was, because I don't usually sit when it's really noisy, and I sit in the evening, and I noticed that I would hear those sounds and then I wouldn't pay attention to them. I didn't say, oh, they're so annoying, I wish they'd turn the thing off. But I did focus on a little bit of tinkling in my right ear. And then I started to notice a little bit of pain in my left tooth someplace. And then some abdominal pressure underneath the sternum. These were sort of like flowing through experiences. And then when that went by, of course, I straightened my spine just a tiny little bit. It was a little bit better. And then a very interesting experience was that my attention, which I thought was sort of in my forehead area, I could sense the attention moving back into the center of my brain, the space in my head anyway. It was interesting because it was sort of simultaneously being aware of outside, but moving inside into the body and then into the brain. It's very interesting.
Yes, and so it's sort of like Barbara's aggravating thing, the leaf blower.
Yeah.
When we don't allow our mind to go out to that, then our mind can reside inside very stably. And I think of Garchen Rinpoche in his prison, where you couldn't obviously meditate, but he would lie down and the other people in his cell would play cards on his stomach. But you can imagine his level of mindfulness, that he could bring everything inside, so he was not distracted by the prison cell or even the people playing cards on his stomach.
Peggy and Sarah have hands raised.
Sarah, Peggy. Okay, Sarah, go ahead.
Had a similar experience that Jim did with the noise as we were paying attention to as you were given direction, paying attention to your posture and going and giving directions for everything. When we got up to the head, I became aware of my ears being an open orifice. And I thought to myself, oh, I had never paid attention to that before. This is interesting. And then as I was meditating, and I live near a train yard, so I heard that, and I thought, don't name it. Then as I heard the birds, I said, don't name it. So it was a great exercise in insight into not naming.
Right.
And so it helped me not follow
That is
narrative.
wonderful. Absolutely. So it's really, so just think, your mind is stable enough that you can feel its desire to go to the train or go to the bird, and they're equal. Like, we might have thought the train was aggravating and the bird was pleasant, but relative to distraction, it's simply sound, and you don't let it draw you out.
Right. And it was just a nice, also just being aware of the ears beforehand, which helped inform not naming. So it was different. So it was good.
Wonderful. Peggy.
Yeah, so I grew up in a family where every petty annoyance was commented on. Almost all the time. So, but some years ago, I had this thought that might be helpful for some people. I'm kind of responding to Barbara's comment, is at some point I've had the thought, like, do I want to spend that much time being irritated? Like, can I shift that, whatever percentage it is, like, if it's half the time I'm awake, if I'm irritated, or 20%, whatever it is, it'll be different for different people. But just trying to turn away from those things we notice and not let them take away power, thought, attention, what have you.
That is so very true, Peggy. Absolutely. And, there are times when we're overwhelmed by the different emotions. And we can say, well, do we really want to give over a day to this or our life to this? So that's a great way to think about it. And then as we meditate and as we build our skills, we have more and more confidence that we have the capacity to stabilize our mind where we want it to be, no matter what's going on.
Yes, and I also have a question about as we, in your exercise, as we bring our attention to different parts of our bodies. I have chronic back pain, so going to my lower back is something that I consciously try not to do. And I think a lot of people have pain in different parts of their bodies, and maybe you can speak to that a little bit.
Yes. Let's say we were talking about two different things. First, there was a check-in just when you sit down to meditation. And I'm thinking of that as like opening the door and looking at the weather today. So stress, not stress, pain, not pain. And we can acknowledge that there are parts of our body that are difficult. And you might want to set up a situation where you have appropriate supports so that those parts of your body aren't strained or are as pain-free as you can make them. So if you go into an insight meditation, they have a whole wall of pillows outside the shrine room. They have different sizes and different shapes because they don't like people to move at all. I'm glad no one told me that. Anyway, I went in and shifted around a lot. So you have all these pillows that can go under your knee, under your ankle. You may need to not sit forward on the chair, to sit back. And one thing I learned from the death and dying teacher, Stephen Levine, who worked with pain with the people who were having direct experience, one aspect of pain is tensing in your body. So actually intentionally relaxing that part of your body that is painful can begin to diminish some of the felt experience of pain. So it doesn't get rid of it, but a part of it for many people is holding a tightness there. So experiment with that a little bit. And then in the same way that we're not going to aggravating, as Barbara was talking about all the different aggravations, we're also not going to the painful sensations that we can't change. So again, we're noticing our mind wanting to go there and then bringing it back to the interior. So for me, this takes a lot of time and experience, and I don't think there's any reason to sit in a painful posture. Different traditions are, at a scale of being, let's say, militaristic on one side, and the scale would go to childlike on the other side, wiggling child on the other side. So what I encourage is to really start to feel the energies flowing, relax, and support yourself. And then if you have to move, and then relax again. And right now I can sit on the ground for maybe 45 minutes and then I have to switch to a chair and then I could go back to the ground. That's just my body right now. So I'm not trying to fight my body, struggle with my body. I'm acknowledging what is for me.
Thanks.
Okay, we're at 11 o'clock. Thank you everyone for meditating together. Next week we go back into a little more theory. Again, really what is happening with our minds when we're meditating, but we're really primed for success now. So Annie, if you would put up the closing prayers, please.
By this virtue may I achieve omniscience, and may all who travel on the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death cross the ocean of samsara by defeating all enemies, confusion, the cause of suffering. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. I pray that the Lama may have good health. I pray that the Lama may have long life. I pray that your Dharma activities spread far and wide. I pray that I may not be separated from you. For this realm encircled by snow-covered mountains, you are the source of every benefit and bliss without exception. Tenzin Gyatso, you who are one with Avalokiteshvara, may you remain steadfast until samsara's end. Embodiment of the three precious jewels, Padmapani, who holds the teachings of the Victorious One, seeing the all-goodness meaning with the wisdom eye, may you who are spontaneously established activities live long for hundreds of kalpas. Noble Manjushri, the Lord of Speech, who manifests to hold the teachings of the Triple Gem, who raises the lamp of the sage's teachings, may you who are the light of the Dharma live long for hundreds of kalpas. The one known in the Holy Land as Aryadeva emanated into the Gar clan of eastern Tibet as Chidingpa, the heart son of Jigten Simgan. May the life of glorious Garchen remain steadfast for 100 eons. We acknowledge that Vajra Dakini Nunnery is on the traditional unceded land of the Wabanaki Confederacy, the stewards of this land for many centuries before European settlement. We honor all indigenous peoples' beliefs, cultural heritage, their relationship with the land, the knowledge of their elders, and the spirit of the ancient ones. This recognition of indigenous territorial land and beliefs is a small step along the long road of recognizing the truth of our shared history and moving towards reconciliation. We will continue this journey with our indigenous neighbors as we weave our paths together in right relation.
So wonderful, thank you. And just to say, we have a rhythm now with Tiffany, my assistant, that she posts the talks, I think by Tuesday on the YouTube channel. So they're grouped in playlists and you should be able to find them fairly easily. Okay, take care.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Thanks
Thanks,
a lot,
Diane.
everyone. Thank you.